Thank you. Let's have a good time.
Taken for a trip on a new dimension ship. Taken for a ride over to the other side. Discovered that time's been forgotten like a song that they never played on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long. I can't relate to where I am. People just don't give a damn. I'll find a way. Make a break, figure out what it takes while traveling at the speed of light. Changes come, they affect their sight. Now it's been 7 years, almost there. The planet nears. Taken for a trip on a new dimension ship. Taken for a ride over to the other side. Discovered that time's been forgotten like a song that they never played on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long. Taken for a trip on a new dimension ship. Taken for a ride over to the other side. Discovered that time's been forgotten like a song that they never played on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long.
Thank you very much.
All right, Doug Rice, Deacon Doug Rice, The Other Side. The Other Side. I just love the song. I think he was thinking about Abby and Libby when he wrote it, clearly. And I don't know. I like playing it every time I go live, as often as possible. So that's what that was. And welcome in, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for coming in tonight. I know it's a boring Monday night, but hey, it's been crazy in the YouTube streets. So we're going to talk about that. And my dog's back there trying to get comfortable. Let's see. I want to say hello to everybody. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. Okay. Lord, I can't even keep up with you guys. Let's see who else is in here. All right. All right. Good to see everyone. Hey, Brittany. Brittany's in here. Says it's a beautiful song. Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. Hey, Christina. It's nice that your name is the same as greeting you. So, what's up, Christina? All right. What's up, Christopher? It's a new day. Gotta laugh at their bullshit. Oh boy, can't wait to talk. Hey, look, Troll Patrol's in here. Hello, Troll Patrol. Mr. Ban. Okay, Ban. Good to see you, Mr. Ban. Mr. Ban Evade. What's up, Nancy Drew? Happy Monday to you. Happy Monday, Nancy Drew. Yeah, it's definitely a Monday too. Let me tell you. Yeah, tonight's show is called what is it called? Delphi Threat to Kill. And I should have titled it Threats to Kill because there's multiple, and we'll talk about a few tonight. But the Troll Farm and more on the phone. A look at the BG video again. And I'm doing that because I had this members only last week, and I put a little excerpt from it as a video for everyone, and everyone's loved it. Okay, it's already got 1,200 views, I believe, just in like 18 hours. Apparently, everyone's really interested in this bridge guy video. So we're going to look at it tonight at the second half of the show. I got something special and different for you regarding it. And I've made some discovery since. And old Vicarious Vigilante, Peggy O, has made a discovery that she pointed out to me. I wanted to show you as well. So we'll look at that in the second half. But tonight we're going to start the show with the update on the past 48 hours of absolute insanity and drama on the YouTube streets. And I'm planning a very special show for you soon. Well, two shows, okay? So I have a show coming soon. Well, I'm not going to announce what they are, but I got two special shows, the next two that we're going to do. And hey, Deb, thanks for reminding people to hit like while you're coming in. Yeah. But okay, what I'm saying is, I've said this before. You always look at how these fucking local bloodlusty demon idiots, meth heads, inbred family members, and all of that. You always look at how they react, because every time things transpire and then they react a certain way, then you know whether what you're doing is relevant or not. And the funny thing is you guys all know that our friend who's banned from YouTube and no longer able to come because of these assholes false reporting, Noe, okay, who these idiots have reported to ICE thinking that he's an illegal alien, which he's not. But anyway, these fucking idiots, not only have they reported Noe to ICE, okay, they also attempted to assassinate Noe this weekend by having Brad Weber murder him. And I'm going to show you some of that in a bit. We're going to talk about what that was. But the funny thing, because we know Brad Weber is, appears to be an insane, violent, crazy guy, possibly a murderer who has also been known to hold people at gunpoint. What was revealed to us, I made a community post and I want to read it to you guys. But keep in mind, these are all coming from individuals who are extremely close to the Patty family. So these people that we're going to be discussing with the death threats in the past 48 hours. They literally talk to Becky Patty all the time. They're very close to Becky Patty, so we'll be talking about that. They also attempted to say that Mike and Cody also would fuck Noe up. So just so you all know, this is clearly coming, at the behest of the Patty family. But I wanted to show you guys this because I made a post about this. Okay, now Noe discovered this weekend, which was Saturday. Noe stumbled upon this as he was walking across the public property that's known as the Monon High Bridge, which is absolutely public property. It's a historic landmark public property. And as he was traversing this public property, historic landmark, he discovered this destruction to the historic Monon High Bridge. And I wanted to show you how this is part of what kicked this all off. Okay, so I made a post that says the following. I'll read the post to you. Okay. Some of the individuals assisting in the cover-up of the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, that's the troll farm, have announced that Brad Weber has destroyed a portion of the Monon High Bridge in an effort to keep people off his property. Note, the Monon High Bridge is not Brad Weber's personal property, but belongs to Deer Creek Township and is maintained by Heritage Heartland, Inc. and the Indiana Department of Natural Resources through state grant funding. To the individual responsible for targeting and destroying the Monon High Bridge, your actions are not a victimless prank and are not honorable or funny, but a direct strike against the heart of the community and the victims of the tragic Delphi murders. This historic 1891 trestle was painstakingly rescued from decay through years of volunteer labor, community fundraising, and over $1 million in restoration efforts to create a safe, beautiful space for everyone to enjoy and to honor the girls whose last moments were spent traversing the span of the historic bridge. Millions of taxpayer dollars have been spent. By choosing to deface and destroy a historic landmark and a structure that stands as a monument to the community's shared heritage and tragedy, you have traded community respect for a coward's legacy. You have desecrated a modern-day shrine. Your reckless disregard for public safety, history, and the girl's memory will not be tolerated, and the community remains unified alongside law enforcement and Indiana landmarks to ensure that you are held fully accountable and investigated under the law. This event will be reported to local authorities. It already has been, and will be announced to the world. And it is being tonight by our network of investigative journalists and creators. Bet 100%. Fuck around, find out. Okay? Now, it's funny. It's funny because the response to this was a backtracking. I never said that Brad Weber did that. But this is one in a long line of continued destruction and of evidence. And I want to remind you about all the destruction of evidence that has occurred in both this case and the Flora case. Both these cases. So let's recall the destruction of evidence that has occurred. Number one, remember that the CPS building, which is a crucial element in this Delphi murders story, was destroyed, right? It was destroyed prior to trial. Do you think that's a mistake or an accident? Okay, the CPS building was destroyed as critical evidence in the Delphi murders case to obscure and keep from the jury the facts of what would have been seen at, near, around the CPS building over near Anderson's and Hoosier Harvest Store in Delphi. So they destroyed that, right? And then they destroyed like a good third of the bridge when they decided to remove all of the planks and rebuild a rail and a new floor to that so that forensic image analysis could not properly be done, because now any forensic analysis that would be done on the imagery from the Monon High Bridge cannot be accurately recreated because the bridge has been altered, right? And now you've seen the evidence that it's been further destroyed, and we don't know why that's been further destroyed, but that destruction of that is additional destruction of evidence. So now the bridge has been destroyed in two ways, okay? And then furthermore, you guys are all aware that the home in Flora, where 4 beautiful girls were brutally murdered by fire, has been destroyed. Now, why does that matter? Because we don't know if samples were properly taken from that home before it was destroyed. We don't know if pieces of that home were preserved for forensic analysis to determine what type of accelerants, what type of residues from other chemicals might be in that home. And let's be honest here, if that home was a result of an accidental methamphetamine fire as it was being produced in that home, then it's possible that evidence was destroyed of the methamphetamine residue in the home. And if it wasn't, if it was gasoline, then the residues that would prove that it was gasoline spread through that home are also destroyed permanently. We don't know what kind of residues might be in that home that would be the accelerants that caused that fire to become deadly and to kill these 4 young children. But by destroying the home in Flora, they have ensured that those residues can never be tested. So now we're looking at the Flora home and evidence destroyed. We're looking at the CPS building in Delphi being destroyed. And we're looking at the Monon High Bridge being destroyed in more than one way. What's going to be next? Ron Logan's property? So this is just another in a long line of destruction of evidence in this case. Now you add to that all of the other destruction of evidence that has occurred by unified command in this case. It's been a litany of destroyed evidence in both these cases, Flora and Delphi. And let's hope the FBI are looking into both, because when is it ever okay to destroy evidence in the homicides of 6 children in your county? Anyhow, so we've had all this destruction of evidence, and this right here only adds to it, okay? This right here only adds to it. So this is an absolute unacceptable turn of events. Like I said, this is a historic landmark. And as I included in my post, this is I want to say a level 6 felony right here. This right here is a level 6 felony, I do believe. This needs to be investigated immediately. We're all aware, and I know you all are aware, that there are surveillance cameras that have been placed up at the High Bridge. And this has occurred since those cameras have been placed up. So this event right here should have been recorded on those surveillance cameras at the High Bridge. And honestly, with all the obsession with preservation in the Delphi community, particularly associated with this trail system and the way that the McCains and the Heritage group have leaned so heavily on the historic aspect of this location. All the locals in Delphi and Carroll County should be absolutely infuriated by this. Okay. All of the historical preservationists in Delphi should be absolutely infuriated by this. But of course, what are we seeing as the response to this? We're already seeing people across the Facebook post world in Delphi. People are already making excuses for this. Okay, they're already trying to excuse this. So your local fucking bloodlusters in Delphi are already excusing this destruction of a historic landmark, where for years they have advocated for the preservation of this structure and the restoration of the trail system and the grifting of millions and millions of dollars off of the taxpayer and off of the community for the preservation of this trail system. These community members now are actually trying to excuse this away and say that it's okay. And as I mentioned, this is not Brad Weber's property. This right here is public property. It's a historic landmark. It's historic property. So let's see where the hypocrisy will kick in with our Delphi locals. Where will our Delphi locals fall in the playing out of this scenario here, where we have clear evidence of the destruction of the Monon High Bridge, vandalism of this historic landmark? And you already have some loud voices in the community excusing away the destruction of this historic landmark. You can't take this back. You can't undo this. This is permanent damage. So let's see. Let's see what Carroll County is going to do about this. Let's see what Nick McClellan's going to do about this. Let's see what the civil litigation and stakeholders and the historic landmarks and the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. Let's see what's going to happen with the local government and the local entities who are behind the landmark status and preservation of this bridge. Let's see what they're going to do about this. Okay? Let's see where the hypocrisy is going to fall and how they're going to excuse this away. But what's funny is immediately upon Noe posting this and announcing this to the world, the bloodluster demons, pedophile enabling Patty family adjacent bloodlusters, came out issuing death threats to Noe Ramos and announcing that they had ordered Brad Weber to shoot Noe Amos. That's right. They had ordered him to, with intention. So they're already putting Noe's life at risk of murder by ICE agent. Okay. Because although Noe does have legal status, the possibility of some event occurring in which Noe, as a result of being falsely reported, is encountered by ICE agents, and ICE agents accidentally killing Noe is pretty high. Okay, so they've already attempted to murder Noe Amos by ICE agent. Okay, murder by ICE. Now they're attempting to murder Noe Amos by Brad Weber, because they are very well aware that Brad Weber is an unstable and violent and unpredictable individual and has already addressed so-called trespassers of his property at gunpoint and held them at gunpoint. And they already know that in the trial of Richard Allen, Brad Weber almost came off the stand and went and committed a physical act of violence to Andrew Baldwin. They already know Brad Weber's temper and violent bent. Okay, but they knowingly, knowing that, they decided to call Brad Weber and to tell him that a Mexican, okay, because they are racist. Let's be honest here. Noe is brown. Okay, Noe's brown. So because he's brown, these redneck, meth head, chomo, bloodluster, uh, bootlicking demons, they already hate Noe because he's brown. They already know that Brad Weber likely hates brown people. So they called Brad Weber and said, hey, this Mexican guy, this brown guy, is going to trespass on your property. And he has harassed the family, and he has harassed Anna Williams, and he has threatened to do you physical harm and trespass on your property. So what they did is they tried to target Noe with Brad Weber by getting him all upset and inflaming him, knowing that he carries a weapon identical to Richard Allen's so-called weapon, a Sig Sauer 40 caliber weapon. That's right. That's right. And they also have announced that he's known to hold trespassers on his property at gunpoint. Let me ask you guys something real quick. The minute you step off that high bridge, right? The minute you step off that high bridge, are you not trespassing on Brad Weber's property? Right. So let me ask you this. According to the state, that's exactly what Abby and Libby did, right? So exactly what Abby and Libby did was so-called trespass on Brad Weber's property. Well, I have a hypothetical for you. What are the odds that at this moment right here, as Abby and Libby trespass on Brad Weber's property, who's to say that it wasn't Brad Weber who approached them at gunpoint with a 40 caliber Sig Sauer, the same type of gun they say was used in the commission of this crime. They say that a gun was used at this very moment, right? They say that a gun was used at this very moment. Well, now these bloodluster demons are announcing that Brad Weber is known to violently take people with his firearm, a 40 caliber Sig Sauer, at gunpoint, and that he's insanely furious and unpredictable and violent. Sounds like Brad Weber might be a POI after all. I mean, in my mind, it sounds like it. What are the odds that it's Brad Weber's bullet, Brad Weber's gun, and Brad Weber taking Abby and Libby because they dared to step onto his property? All right. Now, furthermore, we're going to look at a little receipt. This says, a creator went under the Monon High Bridge yesterday. That means Noe. You guys don't understand who Brad Weber is either. He's not afraid to confront people with a weapon. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He's not afraid to confront people with a weapon. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, my God.
I don't think Brad Weber gives a fuck. That's why I'm putting the word out right now. You guys need to stay off his fucking property. Okay? He says, it shows 4 railroad ties were cut and removed from the bridge. So people do not cross the bridge to go onto his property anymore. I'm not saying Brad Weber did it, but somebody did it to keep people from crossing that bridge to go on his property. But once you step off that bridge at the south end, you're on Brad Weber's property. Period. You guys don't understand, Brad. Period. We do. And then he slanders Noe. He says, you've already been in jail for trespassing once. False. False.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
No, he's never been in jail for trespassing. Uh, uh, no, he's never gotten a trespassing charge. He's never been sentenced for trespassing, and he's never served jail time for trespassing. That's a lie. You go on Brad Weber's property, I feel for you. I'm just telling you. People don't care about their own health. Fucking retards, man. You can't make this shit up. Okay, let me see. I need to look in let's see. Let me go back to that. Let's see. We're gonna go to hard for my eyes to see. This is kind of little. Let's see. We're gonna blow that up for me. I never went on Brad Weber's property. I knew better because I'd already been warned. And yes, I do call and talk to Brad Weber. He says, he says, Weber has multiple signs posted and has dealt with trespasser too many times to count. He absolutely does have reasonable fear of not only being physically attacked, but his property being damaged. You guys, they don't understand Brad. That's the whole point. They don't understand the man. That's why he protects himself with the weapon. They don't understand him. We experienced it in the courtroom with him. Got a better understanding of who Brad Weber is, really was in that courtroom. Um, Let me see. I'm missing something here. Let's see. I got to go back to this. But I'm trying to be thorough and not let you guys down. Let's see. All right. All right. Let's see. We're done with that. Let me see where I got to go. So he says, this is, okay, we got to go to page 7 here. Hold on. On page 7, we say, you're not investigators. You don't have no schooling, so you don't know what the fuck you're doing. We keep getting back to this goddamn bridge thing. God dog it. Let's see, where was I? So many slides. Okay. Okay, now we need to jump ahead because we're gonna bring in some more threats to shoot Noe. Okay, which is right here. Now we're listening to another meth head. This one says, we're talking about shooting through doors. Let me see. I gotta find the shit here. We're about to talk about shooting guns through doors. Oh, okay, I see. So here's a phrase here. So the next threat came like this. This idiot says, I'm telling you what, you're going to find one real quick. Click, click, boom. Oh, I don't shoot through doors. We know the law here. People want to sit here and run their mouths and get mad when you call them out for their own actions and words. If you can't stand on your own words, then don't do it. Click, click, boom. We don't shoot through doors. The last time, he says, I told you, the last time they trespassed, that means Noe and them, on Brad Weber's property, I immediately got a hold of Brad. And I got a hold of Sheriff Lesenby. Sheriff Lesenby had me send all the videos. So I don't know if it was done when that took place or when those railroad ties were cut out. All I'm going to say is the fact that those 4 ties were cut out makes a hell of a statement. It does. Brad's part, just for the sheer fact that I don't know, I'm not implying anything. Whatever was done to those ties was obvious to stop people from crossing the bridge onto his property. That's the level of exasperation that man has of trespassers coming onto his property. After so many times of repeated people trespassing on your property, you have a built-up fear because you don't know what their intentions are. I heard Brad Weber has cut the ties with that dude. He says, well, there's another page I'm looking for. Let's see, it's going to be this one. All right, here's the next one. He says, I can guarantee you. He says, The reasoning why they cut the railroad ties out of the bridge, specifically, I can guarantee you, to keep people from going on Brad Weber's property, is like I told you, once you step off that bridge, you're on Brad Weber's property. And it's just too fucking dangerous. Okay? Now, Brad Weber was a different story back then because there was signs all over his fucking property. No trespassing, but people did it anyway. Once again, he's trying to be somewhere, meaning nobody wants him because he can't act right. And he's Mexican. If you can't act right, dude, maybe fucking people can change their opinion. Okay? They were intentionally taken out. You'd probably use a sawzall and cut them out. That was done intentionally. That's blatantly obvious. Let me see. I'm just saying, the safety issues of fucking around on that bridge and trying to go on the south side of Brad Weber's property, and not to mention that Brad likes to fucking hold people at gunpoint. You're just seeing, I hope you're talking to Jesus before you decide to do that shit. Okay? I'm just trying to make a point. An individual is trying to go across the Monon High Bridge and trespass on somebody's property. And we noticed the railroad ties were cut. So we basically assumed it was done intentionally to keep people that are crossing the bridge to go into someone's property to trespass. And the bridge is dangerous. I'm trying to make a fucking point. You know what? Karma's a fucking bitch. But I don't want to do something like that to happen to you. Rather see your ass go to jail for trespassing, or somebody fucking beat your ass, whatever. But to be laid up in the hospital, I don't know, whatever. Just leave people alone. You're not going to get anything accomplished. You haven't been trained in anything, so you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You know, and you know, the landowner has a tendency of holding people at gunpoint. Okay? So, there's more, but I'm not going to waste all night on this. I just wanted to give you a flavor of some of the shit talking and the confessing that they tried to have Brad Weber target Noe and fucking shoot Noe because they don't like the fact that Noe is going to the High Bridge. And they actually made the announcement. They said, nobody needs to be going fucking out there. Yeah, that's the announcement. That was Delphi community. I have an announcement from you from the troll farm. This is an announcement for the Delphi community, for everyone interested in the murders of Abby and Libby. Okay, the troll farm has announced that nobody needs to fucking go out there. But then the pussy backtracked. He says, you better listen and read again. Never said Brad Weber did anything to the bridge. What was said was he was contacted and advised of trespassing. That's called targeting with a fucking psychopath. What he did with the information, no one knows. For all we know, he could have had the city or county come out and do that to the bridge after I contacted the sheriff. Really? So you saying the police? Are you saying the police vandalized the Monon High Bridge? Is that where we're going now? This is your same motherfucker who called ICE because no, he's brown skinned, right? Brown skin. called ICE. But remember, just last week, this fucking chomo announced that no one needs to cover Florida. He told Peggy O, leave Flora. I'm sorry, Flora. I mean, he told Peggy O, leave Flora alone. Stay the fuck out of Flora. Nobody needs to be talking about Flora. Nobody needs to be going out to the high bridge. Yeah. That's where we are at now with these fucking chode lickers of Mike Patty and Jerry Holman. Nobody needs to be covering or talking about Flora, and nobody needs to be going out to that high bridge or those trails. So guess what? Now we know what we need to focus on. We will be covering Flora exhaustively, and we will be providing footage that you have not seen of the high bridge and the surrounding trails, because guess what? We got unreleased material. But these are your people who want the world to look away from Flora and look away from Delphi. Now, it gets deeper. I titled this stream Threats to Kill because obviously, you know, Greeno's threatened to kill me a handful of times, and Noe too, and a bunch of other people. But, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, I did a live stream called Conspiracy to Murder. Okay, do you remember Conspiracy to Murder, in which I revealed to you that there was a plot from these same individuals, the very ones you heard from tonight? There was a plot to murder me and Noe. And so tonight, I decided, hey, let's go back and look at a little piece of this live stream so you guys can hear the story and see the receipts again. Because these threats, these death threats, it's not just now that we're trying to kill Noe by ICE and by Brad Weber. It's not just Greeno threatening to kill everybody. No, these motherfuckers literally had a plan. And so I wanted to refresh you guys, because I know we've probably all forgotten about that, because there's been so much. But I mean, this tells us one thing. We need to go after Flora harder than you've ever seen, because the FBI has gone after Flora. We need to support them, okay? And we need to go after Delphi harder than you've ever seen. Anyhow, that covers that portion of the show, okay? That was our intro. I wanted to show you what was going on. And this bullshit, and especially this absolute fucking tragedy right here, okay? Like I said, if you're going to do this, we might as well call in Joe Louis. You know, Joe Louis. Hey, Joe Louis, bring in the bombs, blow up this whole motherfucker. Okay, if we're going to destroy it, let's bring it to the ground, because this is absolute unacceptable right here. This is a safety hazard. Let's see. Let me remove this banner. So I'm going to bring this up. This is from Conspiracy to Murder. I'll put it in the description for those of you who want to watch the whole thing. That they're going to attack him and dox him. And he says every bit of that I presented was true. You see in the middle of the page here? Every bit of it is true. And people don't realize, why would I implicate myself in this whole matter if it was not true? Okay? I don't know certain perspectives of the whole thing. I really can't say too much. Nobody ever wanted to believe me. And I'm not going to get into it. I did think that the live stream with Tony Klein's wife helped in some way. Okay. In other ways, it did not turn out good. Okay. Um, so we're going to skip some of this, and I want to get to where more is said. Let's see. And he says, he wanted to destroy this entire community and let some decent people rebuild it from scratch because it's all toxic and nasty and disgusting, this whole thing. And the fact that now it's not just 2 little girls, but 6 girls, meaning the Flora girls and the Delphi girls. And that anybody ever comes into this community and that's all they think of when they think about those girls is they got murdered and all this effed up shit that happened behind the scenes. Okay? I get why everybody has their own different opinion about who did this or what, but while still some certain things get explained, I can easily just pick apart most of the case from the timeline to the witnesses. I don't do this to make people think he's innocent. And I don't do it because I have to do it both ways. Once you legally eliminate most of the evidence or downgrade the hell out of it, I could go on, but you know, technically, we all know that if you die or vanish before you get indicted and convicted, that your appeals have run out. It's a weird thing how your appeals and all that runs out. Technically, you're still kind of considered innocent a little bit. Okay? They don't talk about that. And if you were to die before a subsequent time period happens and your slip will be completely clean, basically. Think of how many crimes where they caught the killer basically with genetic genealogy. They didn't catch any killers until long after the killer himself was already dead. And I mean, you know, on and on and on. And he said, all the evidence is circumstantial, low quality circumstantial evidence against Richard Allen. Okay. And he says, it's not like fingerprint or DNA analysis or any of this evidence. And he says, I don't trust the police with the investigation they did. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't trust the team either. They collected evidence and tested in the first place. Okay. He said, Mr. Steve went out to the crime scene one night pretty soon after the crime. And he sprayed luminol. And he said, he sprayed luminol all over the place and it lit up like New Year's Eve. So you're telling me that the forensic team tested every single bit of every trace of human DNA, just not buying it. They didn't collect the sticks, for God's sakes. They didn't even collect the sticks. Are you going to tell me somehow this guy's DNA is not in the blood? Remember all that blood? It's a very violent physical crime. There should have been something there. And he goes on to talk about the confessions and all of this. And, but he says most of the creators on YouTube, they either reject him, use him, try to use him as some sort of weapon or something, or just he kind of betrayed him. Okay. Now, what Charles or Necessary Evil seems to really indicate is that he's highly concerned with these individuals surrounding Tony Klein. Okay. Not Tony. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's a speech error. I meant Keegan Klein. It appears to me that it is this group protecting Keegan Klein, the group who have surrounded Keegan Klein with a layer of protection, is who seemed to be at the center of all of this, okay? As far as this nexus to the state police and the biker clubs. And he said, Prof has offered me all along to have me in shows, and Snay and this and that and the other, and Alex. But yeah, he turned it all down. And he said, none of these people involved in this situation they weren't even around. A lot of people who have been harassing him were not even around when this incident we're going to be discussing tonight took place. Okay. And I'm going to skip ahead a bit. And he says, Tyler Carpenter, the moment I first met him was like a Mark Cohen, you know? It was like, they seem all right. I'll work on being their friends and this, that. But when you're terrorized by someone, when you have a memory like his, it's almost like torture, because it doesn't matter if it's months down the road or whatever. Somebody says a specific thing or whatnot, you don't forget it. So when these things start changing, things keep blipping and you're trying to figure out an answer to some sort of mystery. And it starts dawning upon you that you know exactly where the BS has been coming from in the first place. And usually it's one of these bad people. Okay. And he said, I think I stopped right off the bat, simply like a bad vibe. You give me a bad vibe, straight up. And he says, he seems like he was after one specific thing. And he says, we did what had to be done to get this guy out of the picture. And we're talking about Tyler Carpenter. And he says, the only time I entered the same place where another member was doing something was right after Tyler flipped out and got doxxed or whatever, flipped out. And the Discord, somebody posted, they were not just going to name them, believe it or not, but I still have my loyalties to a lot of people. And when I clicked the link, I wanted to start trouble. I wanted to troll the hell out of Prof, but I get there in the Discord and him and Tyler Carpenter was talking about, it sounded like Prof was telling Tyler to dox everybody in our server, more or less, to saving his own ass. So let me stop there because I'll correct that, because that's not correct. This attempt has been made to cast me as a doxer or as a terrorist or a threat in this community. It's not the case at all. So let's very clearly explain this. Why, Prof, have you named certain individuals? Why, Prof? Well, let me ask you guys. Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say you start having unhinged, insane, mentally unwell individuals harass you at home, harass you on the internet, harass your family members, and this sort of thing. Day in, day out. Let's say they're threatening to kill you or hurt your children. Would you want to know the individual's identity? Meaning the people who were behind those anonymous accounts? I think you would. I think you would. I think if there were people literally harassing and threatening you and your children and your extended family members, sending shit to your house, calling your cops, doing all kind of weird shit, getting SWATs rolling towards you and all this sort of stuff, would you want to know who they were? especially now in retrospect, understanding that these people are literally going to the extent of conspiracy to murder. Would you not want to know the identities of these people and maybe reveal it to the world so that should something happen to you, that the world would know where to start looking, and maybe law enforcement would know that you were saying this guy named such and such is coming after you? So all of this whole concept of I'm an evil person because I've named people behind anonymous accounts, it's bullshit. I've named people perpetuating criminal harm and directing that towards me. Those are the people I've named. And since they like to play games, semantic games, let's be clear on this. Tony Klein was a POI in this crime. Anyone who appears in his filings on my case does not have the same degree of privacy as a normal person who's off all over in the world, who's never stepped foot on the internet or never stepped foot in the household of any of these POIs who have been discussed. Jerry Holman told you that Tony was a POI, right? And the entire community has known it for years. So no matter what, this whole concept of Prof doxes people is bullshit, okay? I expose criminal aggressors who have come after me, and I discuss people related to the POIs in this case. Now, regarding this situation in Discord, there was never the demand that anyone be doxed. Tyler and I asked Tyler for a list of people who were attacking me. And Tyler gave up that list of people. Tyler gave up the list and said, except for Bossy, because she's fucking crazy. Okay? And it's funny because the very list he gave me was very accurate in that I had already known it was somewhat of a test for Tyler to see if he'd be honest with me at the moment. Well, little did I know that Tyler himself was the greatest threat to my well-being. So let me continue. Let's see. Okay. Hey, thank you, Mark. Thank you. That's very nice and appreciated, Mark. Thanks for being here. Let me just say another thing before I move on, because I just remembered this. By the way, for anyone wondering how Tyler Carpenter's name came into my possession, look solely at the knot, okay? Because if you were to go back to the Cranks when the knot existed and was open to the public, you could probably dig in there and find the Cranks doxing Tyler to the Discord after they kicked his ass out numerous times, including posting his name, his address, his photographs, and all of the above, okay? Photographs of his wife. All right? So you want to know how I discovered that Tyler was a person? The knot, okay? So we'll clear that one up. But he says, Bossy. I'm not sure I honestly remember what Bossy thought. Nobody agreed with me. Like I said in the email, Ruckus didn't seem to disagree with me at the same time. He wasn't, just like I think I made my point that was they wanted to me to use the police as a way to make sure these women weren't hurt or Tony Klein wasn't doing anything bad. And I told him, see, the problem with that is when you rely on police officers, they respond. Bruh. So they won't know anything about anything happening until these people are already dead. And they're responding to it to investigate. And that's what I said. I'm like, cops are just responders. They're first responders. I'd rather use something that's like taking the initiative instead. You just constantly keep an eye on the people like they should be doing in the first place to make sure nothing happens to them. And yeah, I had the two ladies followed by the outlaws. And then I had Tony Klein followed by the outlaws. No harm was supposed to come to them or anything else. From what I know, my own personal correspondence with the people that were following him, meaning the outlaws, the cops were there. In other words, the cops were there too. Okay, so what he's saying here is that as he discussed with these bikers, what's going on as they're surveilling Tony and these ladies, that it's not just the bikers sitting there watching Tony and the ladies. It's like right here where I'm pointing. The cops were there too. So it's not like, anything weird was going on. It's just more like keeping tabs. And yeah, constantly somebody had an eye on Tony Klein. Trust me. And I'm talking about as in law enforcement. Because when all this was going down, sure enough, it was him and Keegan were doing here. They were the persons of interest. They were everything, blah, 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 blah. It didn't make sense to me. I did make that massive post or whatever saying why it couldn't be Keegan, or I tore apart the voice. I tore apart what the guy looked like. I even said he's too short to be Tony Klein. The voice is too deep to be Tony Klein. There's no way Tony or Keegan Klein or Bridge Guy, period, is what he says. I say that I just think on the show the other morning, he says, objection, Bridge Guy has a neck. He cannot be Keegan Klein. Yeah, but you know what? I wonder if law enforcement thought it was Keegan Klein when they were trying to pressure Rayleigh Voorhees into agreeing that she saw that young guy sketch. You guys all remember that, right? You know what? I got to fly off the cuff here. Let me remind you of that, because this is extremely concerning, right? Right. Let me show you this. Because, everyone likes to disappear the relevant talking points, but this has appeared in several of my past live streams, right? This is Doug Rice. Doug Rice saying, guess what? On March 8th, 2020. Guess what? On March 8th, 2020. What? So Riley's mom reached out to me yesterday. Law enforcement interviewed her again within the last several months, which would have been the first months of 2020, January, February, March of 2020. They interviewed Rayleigh again and basically tried to get her to agree the recent sketch, the young guy sketch, is who she saw. When she didn't go along, they told her she wasn't a credible witness.
Bruh.
Yeah, and I have a question. How much was done immediately at the beginning of trial to force Rayleigh into saying the things that she said regarding the potential girls that she witnessed, or whatever she might have witnessed? But that's neither here nor there. We're getting off track, but okay. But he says, a while ago, and this is where he tries to, and see, the thing, this always bothers me, okay? So this bothers me about this angle, because this entire group of people have tried to tie Richard Allen really illogically to these relationships with the people, whether trying to tie Richard Allen to Keegan, trying to tie Richard Allen to Tony, trying to tie Richard Allen to Ron Logan. It's really bizarre the lengths they'll go to try to tie Richard Allen to anybody, when it's absolutely clear Richard Allen's tied to the Patty family. Okay, there's zero doubt in that. They try to tie him to Derek Jerman. Well, how about this? What about that photo of Kathy with Becky's sister at the bar that the entire town frequented? Playing pool. Yeah. Total bullshit that Richard Allen is tied to the Kleins. Even Holman and Vito says so. Okay. But he says, yeah, you know, that Richard Allen worked at the auto plant with Tony Klein, and Richard Allen was on the custodial, and Tony was on the actual production line. And we knew he worked at a CBS near where the Kleins lived in Peru. Again, this is just these real failed attempts to connect him to anything. Where's the direct evidence? How about the other individual who's in that Klein household? Are you telling me Richard Allen was in the Klein household? Well, you could also make the connection between Richard Allen and like a Brad Weber, and it's a small town, and whatever you say, it's a small time town. Yeah, right. Exactly. This is my argument. A small town, like Richard Allen's tied to everyone in some fickle way, but it doesn't mean that he's tied to this crime. But you know what's a lot more indicative? That whoever planned to meet those girls that day and kidnap them and take them away and sell them or do a sexual assault or something to them, that's what makes sense. Okay. So I would say, why don't we look at the Anthony Schatz account that lured the girls out there, or at Logan Holder, who might have been part of agreeing to meet the girls out there, who had knowledge that those girls were going to rendezvous at that point in time, in space and in time.
Bruh.
Okay. He says, I'm just literally saying, I guarantee you, I've been doing this since I was like 6 years old, including my own problems with the law. And he says, I was questioned myself for multiple murders. Funny, I'll let your imagination run wild with that one. But I don't think there was enough physical evidence. The police had to convict Richard Allen. Not on the best of days. I just don't see it there. Okay. And he says, I know it's him. If he's a guilter, okay, I know it's him. I know Richard Allen was involved in the crime. He was there. He's the guy from the video. He's bridge guy. He killed at least one of the girls. There's enough information to get that far. Doubt it. Disagree there, Charles. But then he goes and says, let's see. He says this crime should have been solved immediately, just like Robert Ives said, right? That this was a case that would be solved almost immediately. All right. But he says, think about it. You had unlimited resources. You had all these agents and feds and all these others. This should have been nothing. This should have taken a couple weeks. This is what cops do. They follow leads. They find license plate matches and all this other stuff, and none of it was done. How do you take the most basic thing you're supposed to do in an investigation and never do it? It's almost like the searchers, they were looking for bodies in the first place, but people can't fathom, how did they not find the bodies? Okay. Okay. Then he says, I know a lot of this doesn't leave me to tell a lot, but I might write a book for shits and giggles to have it out there all in one place because it's insane. He says, this entire case has basically proven me 100% right. The one name that y'all need to know about, I don't really think there's any conspiracy. I never really thought there was any kind of conspiracy in regards to the online groups. I thought every group had its own questionable behavior. And he says, let going to skip ahead. He says, the biggest members of the troll farm that I know thus far are notoriously bad. He said, where is it? He's talking about Ashley Garth and Garrett Kurtz, but
Bruh.
then he makes excuses about the box cutter. That how did Rick Allen know it was a box cutter? Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Rick Allen didn't know it was a box cutter. Ron Logan. Okay, here's a fact for all of you. Ron Logan is the reason a box cutter is mentioned by anyone. Do you all know that? Again, we're doing a little side track here. You want to know where box cutter, the concept of a box cutter comes in to the Delphi case? Within a year after the murders, Ron Logan's telling Reese Davis he used a box cutter. Is that a mystery to anyone? I mean, you guys know Delphi or you don't know Delphi? Because you either do or you don't know Delphi. Ron Logan told Reese within the first year of the crime, he used a box cutter to cut Libby's throat. It was actually within the first month of the crime, because this was in March of 2017 when he told Reese that a carpet knife was used. And a carpet knife is essentially a modified box cutter. The first time. All right. That's where a box cutter comes from. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to pull this up again so I can see it better. But he says, I'm tired of all the damn chaos and drama in the community. And that's what the community's been about. It's supposed to be about creating videos, but one of the main people that told me I should make videos other than the members of the group is Captain Howdy. And the irony is, it does not escape me with what you see from him whatsoever. People may not like to hear it. It is a fact. Since I got kicked out of this group, all this occurred right after Captain Howdy was made a member. But he was in there. Captain Howdy was in this group. Okay. That's right. That's right. The murderer of the mother of his infant child, and then himself, the murderous Captain Howdy, was the troll farm. Oh, but they don't want to talk about Captain Howdy. They never want to talk about Captain Howdy, who is just a symptom of their disease, of sadism, of sadistic ill will in the community, and the obsession with the murder of children. Mm-hmm. He still might be in there for all I know. Okay, I can't tell you what went on behind the scenes or anything like that. I wouldn't even really call him a troll farm, plain and simple, but he was a member of Jinx's Discord. Okay, we're talking about 60 to 100 people at most points. But only 10 to 20 of those people were actual pain in the asses. Okay. And he says, Other than, well, he says, other stuff involving Ruckus being the source of the link, I was not there, but somebody else I trust told me that. So I don't know what I've really heard from multiple sources now that he wasn't. Yeah, that's called the disinformation. That's called the disinformation agents. Okay. Because that was just in the past month. But they weren't able to give me much information at the time. Yes, because it was bullshit. Okay. I'm still waiting to hear about that. Yeah, because it's made up. Why they were so sure of the thing? Well, think about who told you that, because that was the lie. Okay, he says, it wouldn't matter to me if Ruckus was the one that leaked the photos in the first place. I've looked at crime scene photos for damn near every damn case I've ever researched. Every single one, if they exist, I've looked at. I've never saw the whole leak of the actual photos as long as they were to doctor or whatever to make sure there wasn't any nudity. Okay. But I have no problem whatsoever about the photos being shown or anything like that. And what's already been done, it's already been done. Now, I don't agree with how they spammed these photos, sent it to the families, and sent it all over the place, but that's a whole other matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. At the time I came in, I was to protect Tony Klein's ex-wife, who was at the time was also being questioned by detectives in the Delphi murders. The persons of interest they seemed to be implying at the time were Tony and Keegan Klein. That's how I got involved. That's why I was able to get so quickly into the whole troll group and this other crap, because I never ever asked them to be in it. They asked me instead because she forgot talking to me but had me on Facebook and forgotten that. So when I reached back out to her, she forgot she had told me certain details, and she saw me talking about details. She told, because she freaked out thinking all they did, that I was working for Bridge Guy, a.k.a. Tony Klein, and I was trying to unalive them. Okay. Finally, when it ended, I got asked to come in a Discord where, in fact, I met Jinx, who I knew from her chat by the point with Bo, who is the best friend of the ex of Tony Klein.
Bruh.
I didn't talk to her then, but I knew somewhere around the ex was hiding. I thought we were just protecting two women because of their connections to Tony Klein and Keegan Klein. But I found out this entire time, Dread Pirate Roberts or Mark Robert Cohen was always talking to me in there like he knew me, but I had no idea who the hell he was. It turns out to be Mark Robert Cohen, which, if you don't know, I was like, what the F are you doing here? But I'm probably imploding my own nature because I don't like being told what to do. So when Prof, I don't know what he says, but he deleted his account. And he says, I knew about some crimes that had occurred while I was in the group. Okay, and what he's meaning is the various crimes against me, Noe, and Snay, and others. And he says, I know about some crimes that occurred while I was in the group.
Obviously, we have
and I notified the victims.
Lincoln Park.
And he said he was just going to drop all the bombs and let God sort out the bodies, you know? And basically, what this had become, it was really like all of them started attacking him.
Well,
and he said it felt like nobody believed him or didn't care.
Obviously.
And, but anyway, Tyler Carpenter, everything was fine one day when Prof was already talking to him. And I think the bear guy, the grizzly guy who does the music and stuff, he was there. Miss Persevere, believe was there, and one other or two other people.
He's climbing in your window.
And he says, I didn't feel like I was doxxed because I had already doxxed myself. I had given my information, my criminal charges, all that. I gave them to Turbo. And they ran a background check on me. And I was told, I'm not even going to get into the other one, but it's a pain in the ass. But they basically showed me my hidden Facebook accounts and this other crap.
Trying to
and
rape
the
him, so
conversation between Prof ends, Reg leaves, and I'm bored at that point because nobody's jumping anybody, or there's no attacks or swarming.
Kids, hide your wife, and hide
And he
your husband
says,
because they're raping everybody out here.
Jinx had been drinking one night. She was bored, and as she was often. But whenever she had an idea that seemed funnier and amusing, and I was high, she was like, let's do this. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And she randomly comes up to me while she's drinking and tells me that Noe is live. And she says, and this is Jinx saying, if I call this one phone number and you call his other phone number 1,000,000 times, I'll think we'll kick him off the internet. Oh, really? Okay. So are you telling me that when all of this started with calling Noe 1,000,000 times during his streams, that it was Jinx and Charles? If I call his one phone number and you call his other phone number 1,000,000 times, I'll think we'll kick him off the internet during his live. And I'm like, I'm down. And we proceeded to do it. It actually did work, which I thought was hilarious. And after we kicked him off the internet or whatever, he answered the phone with me on the line, but I could hear he was talking to whoever. Oh, is that where Paulie learned it? From Skanks 13? And he was being a real dick to her, and some people get emotional when they're drunk. And she got upset. And I'm over here on the other end going, hang up the phone. And when she finally did or whatever, she was upset, and I wanted to say something to make her feel better. And sounds dumb as shit, but you got to understand this kind of person I portray on here. So I was like, if it makes you feel better, we can just get a hold of my cousins. It probably was dumb as shit, Charles. You did a lot of dumb as shit. The Outlaws. I go out to Indiana, get this stuff off my cousins, some meth, plant it on Noe, get Noe popped. He goes back to jail for 20 years. Doesn't that sound like a great idea? Because at this point in time, I called the entire group that would later be known as the Troll Farm. I called them church kids. So I knew that if I had said to Jinx that she'd get it as a joke, which she did, but sometime later I told her we need to keep that joke to herself, because I don't know what kind of idiot, because it took me seconds to think of it. Getting it covered up to every last bit, but obviously the plan would have worked. He says, it even had me getting DNA off Noe to implant on the bag itself. So if he claimed the stuff wasn't his, very quickly, but very well laid out, but she didn't want to do it. So I was like, do me a favor, just make sure, don't tell anybody I told you that. And this was like a month or before Tyler got doxxed. Now I go into the Discord server that same day he gets doxxed, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. If not the next day, Tyler makes the comment, Charles, just the man I've been looking for, or whatever. And I'm like, why? So he starts to tell me, hey, do you want me to get you tickets? And I'm like, what do I need tickets for? He goes, to fly up here to Michigan. Because some people, which, I'm giving names to people. I don't mind giving names to people. I know, because like me and Mike had a conversation after all this, and you see, I shut the whole thing down. But yeah, he wanted to get a whole bunch because of Tyler's got some money, and he's got his own company with all kinds of other stuff and all kind of stuff, and And anyway, he was offering fuel. He was offering to buy tickets. And I figured at first I was just going to go there and confront him. And I'll go there and play chaperone if he's going to confront Prof to make sure if he gets into a fight or something like that, and he's in the middle of it, and he said, "No, dude, I thought you'd want to be there, for we need you for your plan to go through." And I went berserk. I went ballistic because, for one, I told Jinx not to tell anybody, and she still today says that she didn't tell anybody. And I'm like, Jinx, nobody else in the effing world knew that I came up with that plan. It's a very simple but pretty good plan. And I gave them all the information. So it's kind of like the wind out of their sails when I posted it. I'm like, the only information that you told everybody that they didn't have before was that my hair is going gray. But when Tyler mentioned my plan, not exactly what the plan was, but the fact that he wanted to do this plan, I went nuts and I wanted to yell, but I went nuts typing wise or whatever in the server and leaving voice messages, and I shut it all down. And at this moment in time, I start taking screenshots of everything that's being said or whatnot, because now I know that someone else has the plan. And if they decide to go through it, well, I'm damn sure not going to jail for these crimes. So I need something I can show in case it gets brought up. Hey, were you involved in that? But I got the hell out of it, and they still went forward with it anyways. And here's your evidence. And they're kind of annoying, but I mean, I had this conversation after the fact, and I'm like, what the hell do you think you were going to do? And this is what Tyler. And he's like, well, we had the plan for Noe. And he says it only works for Noe because he's got the previous drug charges. But Prof doesn't have those. He was well aware we could have figured out something. And then he's like, well, yeah, we're going to go there or beat him up or worse or something. I don't know. Kind of beating up, we get to sitting in prison. We get Noe sitting in prison for over 20 years. The first one you can live through. That second one, I don't know. It's pretty damn fucking bad. I know people that would rather die than go to jail for 20 years. I don't know about you. But then on top of that, what's worse than that? I can only think of one thing. And really, I mean, do I even need to say it? Again, setting Noe up to go to jail for 20 years, to go to prison for 20 years. And with Prof, do I really need to say it? This is why for the longest time I joked around. And later when I started and everything else, and they wouldn't leave me alone, and they kept talking to me saying, do you understand that by Reg or Tyler Carpenter trying to buy the tickets and everything, that he has been taking steps offering financial compensation to those who would be involved in the crime? Do you not understand this whole conspiracy to murder charge? Yeah. Everyone laid the groundwork, and to screw me, to use all that, and y'all need to get the fuck off my nuts and leave me the hell alone. Well, of course, it went batshit crazy. Instead, thinking that it would shut him up. But after a while, I stopped fighting because I had my regular friends, and we were tired of all the drama and all this. And I didn't have any intentions for the drama. Well, Prof decided to put out these messages. And as I said before, he does all this other crap. I mean, I do have a little respect for Snay, at least in regards to character, but not Prof. Okay. And But he said Fig was one of the ones. Uh, they had this small little group that they were investigating sexual assault claims and these sex details of crimes, um, and they're all good at obtaining that. Um, and that would have been Cowboy Kevin Dutenhaver, that's really good at getting information, fact finding. And he's like, why is everybody just let Curly and Randy chill out with that weirdo? He's a sexual offender. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. He says, for the life of me, I couldn't see why this whole damn group was allowing this when I found it out in the first place. But there's been one leader of period, and it was Jinx. I don't know if this happened or anything like that, but Ruckus was like what we call it, a senior member. He wasn't trying to make anyone do anything. Okay, I don't know what happened there. It looks like we got jacked. But thanks for sticking around. Okay, I'm going to get it going again. Just apologize for whatever the hell just happened. Okay, let's see. What a disaster. Complete disaster. Complete disaster. Nice way to mess things up. Let's see. Where is it? Oh man, nothing's looking right. Okay. Where were we? God, come on. Somebody could find it. They would post it and say, blah, blah, blah. First one you can live through. That second one, I don't know. And he's got his own company with all kinds of other stuff and all kind of stuff. And, and some people get emotional when they're drunk. Sorry, I'm trying to find my spot. Okay, where were we? One day when Prof was already talking to him. And I think the bear guy, the grizzly guy who does the music and stuff, he was there. It took me seconds to think of it. First one you can live through. That second one, I don't know. It's pretty damn fucking bad. I know people that would rather die than go to jail for 20 years. I don't know about you. But then on top of that, what's worse than that? I can only think of one thing. And really, I mean, do I even need to say it?
Bruh.
Again, setting Noe up to go to jail for 20 years, to go to prison for 20 years. And with Prof, do I really need to say it? This is why for the longest time I joked around. And later when I started and everything else, and they wouldn't leave me alone, and they kept talking to me saying, do you understand that by Reg or Tyler Carpenter trying to buy the tickets and everything, that he has been taking steps offering financial compensation to those who would be involved in the crime. Do you not understand this whole conspiracy to murder charge? Yeah. Everyone laid the groundwork, and to screw me, to use all that, and y'all need to get the fuck off my nuts and leave me the hell alone. Well, of course, it went batshit crazy. Instead, thinking that it would shut him up. But after a while, I stopped fighting because I had my regular friends, and we were tired of all the drama and all this. And I didn't have any intentions for the drama. Well, Prof decided to put out these messages. And as I said before, he does all this other crap. I mean, I do have a little respect for Snay, at least in regards to character, but not Prof. Okay. And but he said Fig was one of the ones. They had this small little group that they were investigating sexual assault claims and these sex details of crimes, and they're all good at obtaining that. And that would have been Cowboy Kevin Dutenhaver, that's really good at getting information, fact finding. And he's like, why is everybody just let Curly and Randy chill out with that weirdo? He's a sexual offender. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. He says, for the life of me, I couldn't see why this whole damn group was allowing this when I found it out in the first place. But there's been one leader of the troll farm, period, and it was Jinx. I don't know if this happened or anything like that, but Ruckus was like what we call it, a senior member.
Bruh.
He wasn't trying to make anyone do anything, but it was more like a bunch of people that agreed if somebody posted crime scene photos and a stupid video like 4 pits or something, we'd get the videos taken down. Somebody could find it. They would post it and say, blah, blah, blah. We'd all start reporting the video and stuff. If y'all were in a Discord server or whatever, I think most of the shit that's being shown, you would probably be doing the same by the time you'd been there. I would never identify anybody, and it's like all these people, I think at least something people would ever turn to me because I was truly, because they thought I was truly threatening to dox two women to join up with somebody else. They were okay with that. But it doesn't even mean the main charge that Noe's in jail for right now. Okay. And then again, he starts making excuses that Noe's responsible for Noe being in jail. But yeah, what you fail to mention is that it's not solely Noe. Okay? Because you can drive people insane and you can drive people to the point of a lot of stuff, can't you? You could drive people to the point of murders. You can drive people to the point of suicides. You can drive people to the point of attacking others, which is I just want to jump in. That is a primary strategy of the troll farm. They are attempting to drive people to the point of self-deletion. Just in case you didn't know, and I've already posted receipts of that in the past. Don't make me do it again. All you got to do is go back on the community page. They want you to unalive yourself. Okay? Because it's the cheapest way to have you dead, right? Receipts exist. They've been posted. Go look at my community page. You can drive people to the point of schizophrenic mental deterioration. And guess what? This entire group has done just that. Okay? This entire group has thoroughly put people under mental distress by the dozens. Okay? You've seen what happened to Rick Snay. You've seen what happened to Noe. You've seen what happened to me. You've seen what could have happened to me. You've seen what happened to other creators who suddenly are nowhere to be found. Okay? This is very same group is behind it and has been behind it all since before Rick's arrest. So yeah, they are responsible for lots of bad things and lots of crimes. He says there was a large portion of time where everybody was just getting arrested. You know? He says, I'm not on the prof side. I'm not on the crank side. I'm not on the troll farm side. I can believe a little of each. But all you trolls come in here all the time and tell me that I think somehow Alan's innocent. I don't. But I do know how to look at the lack of evidence and quality. There's certain details that are low quality circumstantial evidence. For instance, they could have paid $10,000 and either side. Now, this is a key point he's making. They could have paid either side about $10,000 to get someone in there to do really good measurements on Bridge Guy. That, you know what else? Either side could have gotten in there and done crime scene reconstruction. They could have done forensic examination of the video to figure out the potential height range and weight range of the individual who is captured in that footage. They could have reconstructed the time scene, reenacted the crime to try to see if it's possible in a 19-minute window to accomplish all that was accomplished. Well, we know it wasn't because it's a total bullshit story. This whole thing with Lone Wolf Killer. Okay, let's hit the reset button, especially for the new folks here. The entire scenario with the Lone Wolf Richard Allen Killer is absolute hysterical nonsense. It's impossible. It's impossible. And we'll talk about it later, how fucking impossible it is. Absolutely impossible. Now, you know what is possible? If 3 or 4 people took those girls from wherever they were, brought them somewhere else, separated them, committed separate crimes to each of them, and then when they were done with it all, placed them together to be found. And by the way, was that Dustin Maggard who found the bodies like my whistleblower emailed me last few months ago? Dustin Maggard. Is it true that Dustin Maggard found the bodies and that several individuals and the prosecutor and law enforcement went into trial with Richard Allen and knowingly perjured themselves by claiming that they found the bodies? Why would Dustin Maggard's family and mother say that he found the bodies and that it's a big secret no one's supposed to tell anybody? His mama said it. His mama said he found the bodies and it's a big secret. They're not supposed to say anything. When I'm telling you this entire thing has been a lie, the prosecution has lied, okay? The clients have lied, right? Ron Logan lied, right? The searchers lied, right? The family lied, right? Law enforcement lied. Everybody lied. It's Delphi in a nutshell. But sorry for the rant. Let's continue on. He says, you couldn't pay $10,000 to get there and do a good measurement. You'll eliminate the Ron Logan or not, or Keegan Klein or not, or, I would add Richard Allen or not. You get a height estimate. It's going to give you a tiny bit more evidence to work with. You had footage of vehicles. You had a video full of cars. Now, how hard is it with your unlimited resources? Remember, they spent millions of dollars on this, and they had the entire FBI behind them. You had unlimited resources and unlimited agents and blah, blah, blah. You couldn't go out there and track down every single fucking vehicle, starting with Carroll County. Okay. But because he's a guilter, he goes on to say, you probably would have found Richard Allen. No, they probably would have eliminated Richard Allen. All right. He says, Angela and the Cranks, he doesn't know that they've been involved in this stuff. But he never joined the group, and he never joined Prof's group, and he was a visitor, and each side was being deceptive and wanted to cause more drama. But he had enough. And he says, I don't like this whole grouping up and attacking people, which we call swarming or mauling. He says, are you really telling me that all this fighting and everything is just because people have a difference of opinions? It seems childish. You know? he kind of goes on a detour about the Idaho case, which I'll skip over. But he says, I have no problem telling you exactly who I am, name by name, my email address, and everything else, my literal actual name. There's too much secrecy that's been going on in this case. There's way too much being hidden, too many hands in the gutter, too many people playing puppet master in the background and acting like they don't know each other in the first place. What? Just exactly what we say, right? Too many hands, too many people playing puppet master, acting like they don't know each other in the first place.
Bruh.
He says, seriously, I got emails that say otherwise. He says, I wouldn't call this drama. I don't even know how many people are left in this troll farm. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move on from that. Okay. But I think what I should do now is bring back up some of these other statements for us to review again, because some of you might have missed the previous show. So I want to add to it. Okay, so we're going to add to this. My mouse can work here. Problematic here. Let's see. Again, so these are the original messages that we talked about last week. Okay. He said that Noe and I were both targeted, remember? Again, this is, by the way, just so everyone can see in case you can't see, okay, in case you can't see, it's May 5th of 2025. May 5th of 2025 when he first told me this story. And he says the plan was to get y'all arrested or beat up or far worse. Do I really need to say it? Meaning a murder for hire plot. This was a murder for hire plot. This is a conspiracy to murder plot. And it's also a conspiracy to set up an individual for 20 years. Okay. Does Noe deserve to be set up for 20 years because he does not agree with certain individuals in the Delphi case? Do I deserve to be physically assaulted or murdered because there are individuals who don't agree with me in the Delphi case? How much money was going to change hands during the course of this plot?
Bruh.
I'd like to know, what's the dollar figure?
Oh my
Was
God!
it 5,000? 10,000?
It was our job to help law enforcement.
There are two biker clubs you'll talk about. One is apparently the Hells Angels, or tied to the Hells Angels. The other is the Outlaws. They wanted to force you to quit. Okay, then he says, where all this took place, by the way, this all occurred in Tyler Carpenter's Discord, which is why the feds need to go and obtain a subpoena from Discord for that particular Discord, as well as Jinx's Discord. Tyler's and Jinx's Discords need to be subpoenaed, and this has to be reviewed. He says from the beginning, in Tyler's Discord was probably 70 or so. Half of them trolls. And under Jinx's Discord, it was 90 to 240 trolls. Captain Howdy was one. Jinx, Turbo, Mark Cohen, Tommy Frost, Tyler Carpenter. There's a bunch I have to think about. Tyler had been stalking. I'm sorry. There's a lot of criminals here. Okay, Tyler is one as well. Captain Howdy had been stalking his ex-wife, okay, for years. He'd been reported many times. Okay, then he goes and he shoots her in cold blood in the face before he shoots himself, leaving an infant behind. Charles says Detective Vito knows of this entire plot. Okay, Detective David Vito of the Indiana State Police had knowledge of this. So did Holman. He said Troll Farm had 60 to 70 creators. Half the Troll Farm are creators. So if it's 150, you got 60 to 70 creators, each with 1,000 or more subs, including criminality. The majority of the original creators in Delphi were Troll Farm, including Dan, Paradox, Greeno, Marv, Randy, Ruckus, Co-Truth, Criminality, Meow, Chris Long, Deb Slaughter, Coach Kev, Frank Meister, Faye, Delphi Dummies, Ashley Schaefer, Aspen Connor, Adam, and others. These are just off the top of his head.
Oh my God!
Bossy.
Well,
I don't have too much on Bossy, as she was kicked out early.
We have a rapist in Lincoln Park.
But later she would try to manipulate me and others to try to get money with sob stories. Yeah, she did it to Peggy O, according to the fight on the community pages.
She's climbing in your window.
Ruckus, much easier. I can tell you what I know. For one, he was the one major leak of the crime scene photos, uploading them to Telegram and linking people in Reg's or Tyler's Discord. Very important. Like I said, Tyler's Discord needs to be subpoenaed.
Trying to rape
So
them,
does
y'all need
Jinx's.
to hide your kids, hide your wife.
Like I said,
and
Telegram
hide
is
your
where
husband
everything
because
is
they raping
happening.
everybody
Okay. He goes back into the Keegan Kline stepmom and best friend. And like I said, Holly Lowry's the third. It's three women, all tied to Keegan Kline. And again, he mentions, what about Vito? I don't get it why Vito was involved in this with the protection and with the bikers. But Turbo even told Vito or asked Vito. So now we know that Turbo is also directly speaking with David Vito, okay? So Turbo's asking Vito, why does it seem like bikers are following Tony? Okay, the Outlaws. Detective Vito asked us to keep an eye on them. Okay, it goes further. He says, Tyler wanted y'all beat up in prison and on false charges, or as he said, who knows? That means dead, murdered, conspiracy to murder. Initially, 5 to 7 were planning the assault. Okay, the plan was to have something highly illegal with DNA planted in, to be found by anonymous tip to the police, large amounts of drugs. Tyler wanted it used on you, but since you didn't have the drug history, he wasn't sure. Think if Noe was pulled over with a few ounces of ice on him and his DNA on the scale and on the drugs, he'd probably have gotten 20 years. Tyler has the people, the means, and the money to pull it off, but needed the connections in Colorado and Indiana. The only one who has that is me with the Outlaws, so I shut it all down. He was literally in the process of booking flights. That's when I realized it was no longer a joke. This kind of shit worries me. Tyler was true evil, and Jinx was with him and told him he needed my help. Jinx knew that Necessary Evil's family had bikers in it, which is why they went to him for this murder for hire plot. But he says, like I said before, y'all can be annoying, but I have no hatred or wishing ill will on you guys. Okay. Anyhow, I think that's I'll shut this down here. I wanted to show you where he says Holman. Okay. Here he goes. So not only was it David Vito that had knowledge of this and of these interactions with these people, but it was David Vito, Jerry Holman, and another. Who's the other Necessary Evil?
Kevin
Who's the other
Hammond.
Necessary Evil?
Kevin Hammond. He later told me it was Vito, Holman, and Hammond who have knowledge of this entire plot to murder and frame Prof and Noe. That's right. Jerry Holman, David Vito, and Kevin Hammond have all of this information according to our tipster. And there are receipts.
If David Vito had knowledge of this collusion with the Outlaws, Jerry Holman had knowledge of this collusion with the Outlaws. Who was the other that had knowledge of this? Vito, Holman, and who? That's what we'd like to know.
Hammond.
We'd like to know that. Who's the third officer? Appreciate you letting us know, Necessary Evil. Who's the third officer? Vito, Holman, and who's another?
Like I said, Charles has since disclosed that it was Kevin Hammond. Or was it Jay Harper? Damn it. Now I'll need to go look at the receipts. Maybe it was Harper. It's Harper or Hammond, one of the two with the H's.
All right, just a moment, please.
Oh no, double white dots. What's going on here?
Was that Harshman? Come on, starts with an H is not good enough. Is it Harshman? Who starts with an H?
All right. In other words, unified command.
So now we're going to take a look. We're going to move to phase 2 here. And I want to thank Necessary Evil again for all the above information that we just went through. Hopefully the feds are taking a look at all of this. It's extremely important. It's not to be taken lightly. Okay, so we're going to look at several things now. All right. So what we're going to do is so David Hennessy comes and says,
Okay, that's enough of that one. Okay, but that one is called Conspiracy to Murder. You guys can go watch it if you want to see the whole damn thing. But like I said, Charles did eventually give me the other name. I just can't remember it, but we have it all in our records now. It's been tipped in to where it needs to go. But there was another officer, a third, and I want to say for sure it was either Hammond or Harper. Hammond or Harper. I'd have to look into my screenshots. I don't have time for that now, though. I want to move on to part 2 of tonight's show, okay? Because we're done with the troll farm. So I called this Delphi Threat to Kill the Troll Farm and more on the phone. So tonight, I want to do more on the phone because I saw that there was a positive response to some of my looking at the Bridge Guy video. And I thought, let's do it tonight, but let's do it a little different too. And I can show you a few other things. And anyway, I'm going to try my best. Trust me. I'm going to try my best. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. But while you're here, please hit the like. And we're going to take a close look at this at this alleged video from Liberty German's phone, which we call the BG video, or that be a bullshit. So I'm going to show you this video tonight. And we're going to be able to do some different things than normally. So let's see. Let me do a situation here. Let's see. We got to do this. We got to do this. Okay, how's that looking for y'all? Okay, so tonight what we're looking at is no audio. Okay, your audio is going to be my talking. We're going to look at visuals tonight. And for those of you interested, I do have a playlist on some audio deep diving of this. But tonight we're going to look at the visuals here. And I'm going to try my best to do what I can, okay, here. And this is not going to be easy. It's my first time attempting this on the live, but what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this video. And we're going to look at shadows, okay? So, all right, my first impression. I literally want to do first impressions. My first impression here is that what we are looking at is the literal first plank of the bridge. You guys find that interesting? Like, why? Why does this video start in this way? Okay, first plank of the bridge. And like I said, what we're going to be looking for is not so much the things we usually look at. You know, we're trying to look at this from every angle. Okay. Now, my first observation, and others have said this, I think this is important to observe, like, why are we having such a difficult time seeing shadows on the bridge of these two individuals who are supposed to be on the bridge? Now, if you look between Abby and Bridge Guy, you can see that there are a couple shadows that are coming from some kind of tree between these two individuals. You do see two shadows that appear to be from the trees. But interestingly enough, ahead of Abby, there's trees that don't seem to be casting shadows. Neither do the two individuals on the bridge seem to be casting shadows. By the way, for those of you who are questioning about the time of day this was recorded, I've gone into Sun Tracker software, okay? So just to try to clear it up for our viewers, I've gone into sun tracking software and I put in the geo coordinates, okay? The geo coordinates of this location. And I have matched the shadows given by the trees onto the private drive with the geo location and the sun tracking software. And I've put in the date of February 13, 2017 at this end of the bridge. And interestingly enough, the shadows work out absolutely perfectly as according to what they are telling us about how this video should be displaying shadows as far as being recorded at 2:15 or so, 2:13 p.m. So if we were to go into the sun tracking software and look at the 2:13 p.m. approximately on February 13, 2017 at this location, the shadows do accurately match from what is shown later in this video. So just to put people's concerns at rest regarding that, okay? And like I said, I'm not really going to talk much about this video, but I definitely got opinions, including I have very strong opinions on the look of this clothing this young lady is wearing. There's an odd lighting, like a sheen on this clothing, and the colors are really abnormal to me. Look at how new and shiny those jeans look. Anyhow, that's not why we're here, but just to show you guys, let's do a little zoom. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be looking. It's not easy to do because this camera's all over the place, you know. I mean, look at how the face is distorting. This really bothers me here. It doesn't even look like Abby there. You know, notice the face. Let me see if I can get up in this corner a little better. Very strange. You see? I don't get the distortion. And watch it morph, okay? Watch the face morph. And see how she almost looks like a baby doll there. Look at the face. I mean, can I zoom in even more? I mean, serious, is this AI? Is this AI? Look at that shoe. I mean, how close can we zoom? You see that shoe? What in the world? And look at the face. It's like a baby doll. I don't know. Is this an artifact of, do these cameras do this to people's faces when the camera's moving? And can I put myself in a different position to make the screen bigger? Let's get her face again. What's going on there? The hell is that? It's like scrambled eggs over here. What the hell? Why is that shirt doing that too? What's that? Why does it do that? Okay, moving to shadows. Sorry about that. I got a little distracted. We're going to go back to full screen. Okay. Okay, I just want to draw your attention to when I was talking about using the shadows. Do you see how here we can see a tree, for instance, casting a distinct shadow right here across the private drive? You can see that shadow. Okay, that's a landmark. Okay, that's a landmark you can use to look at shadows. There's another one here on the pier, or whatever you're going to call this. See here? Okay. Now let's do this. Okay. You're going to see that we're going to start over. And now we're in a different orientation. This is the true orientation of the video. Okay, how it was really recorded. And we're going to scrub through this crap. Okay. See? We come upside down. Okay. Let's go ahead and move forward. Okay. Promise, there's something I'm trying to get to, but it's not easy to find. So let me. Okay. So I may have to turn it the other way again. Oh, yeah. Hey, there comes Abby. Okay, so there we go. Let's see. Maybe it'll be best to turn it for you again. Okay. Okay. Where was it? Okay, there's one, but that's not the first one I'm looking for. And it's really hard to see, but it's in the upper right-hand corner. All right, let me see. See if I can show you here in the upper right-hand corner. Let's see. That's it. Okay. Okay, so look at this corner here. And watch what's going to happen. I've blown it up quite a bit. Okay. So let's see. We're going to move it shadow to light. Let's zoom back out. Okay. Now there comes Abby. You can see the shadow before you see her. See? There she comes. Like I said, right there. Do you see that? Boy, it's hard. It's really hard to see. Someone's moving behind them. Look at this. Okay. There we go. I almost feel like I can see it better, less zoomed. Let's see. Do you see that? I'm really trying to show it. Let's see. Okay. Can you see my mouse? Can you see the mouse here where I'm circling? I don't know if my mouse is showing clearly where I'm circling here. Okay. Watch it go from light to dark. See it? See this one? I don't know if I'm showing it well, but this little twig right here, this little twig right here that I'm circling, it's just a tiny little shadow. Watch it. See, it's lit. It's lit up, right? Sun is hitting it. Watch it. See? Appears, disappears. Can you see it now? You guys see it now lighting up and turning dark? This little twig right here. Someone says audio. Oh, audio's fine. Okay, Jesus, y'all confusing me, man. Okay, back to this. Back to this. Look. Twigs. Look at this one. Right here. This twig. Okay. Into the shadow, out of the shadow. The shadow moves. Now, what's happening here? Remember, that's your far right corner. Right here. Far right corner. This is happening. This little twig here. You know, this little twig here. So what's happening right before and right after this? Okay. What we have right here. Libby Shoe. Some weird shadow of a person, right? That's not Libby. Maybe it's Abby. And over to the right, you had that happen. Okay. Now, there's another catch that I can't recall exactly where it was, but there's another spot the exact same thing happens. And I'm having a lot of difficulty finding that other spot. but it's a very similar thing. It's one leaf. There's another spot where there's a single leaf that goes into shadow and out of shadow. And I'm just stumped to find it. I'm going to find it as soon as I end the stream, you know. See, that's Abby coming. If you look in this right-hand corner now, this right-hand corner, you'll see Abby approaching. Watch the shadow. Now, even though it looks like a small shadow, remember, this is why I'm looking at tiny shadow movements. Because remember, tiny shadow movement, right? You see? Tiny shadow movement in the right-hand corner. You see it? But that's Abby. That tiny shadow is Abby coming. See it moving? Right-hand corner. That's Abby. So that's not a mystery shadow. That one we know, okay? You see the shadows come, and then she comes. So Abby's entire body is only making the tiniest shadow here. This is my point in obsessing over tiny shadows. And like I said, there's another one somewhere that I'll have to re-find for you and post it later. But that's a deal. Okay. Now the interesting thing here is Peggy. I don't know if she's still in here, but Peggy found something and pointed it out to me that absolutely blew me away. And this is very intriguing, guys. Now, okay, let's go back to the beginning. Now look at Bridge Guy, right? Take a look at Bridge Guy. See him? I mean, he's got a hat, right? Some sort of hat. He's got a gut. He's big. He's got a hat and a gut, right? Bridge Guy. Look at him. Bridge Guy, right? So I want you to see what happens. You're going to see Bridge Guy come into the frame in shadow form, okay? So watch this. And again, this is Peggy O that discovered this. And I think she's absolutely correct. But watch this. Okay, so once Abby comes, okay, so remember, there you go. You got that and that, right? But watch what happens. Okay, because you're going to notice. Abby comes in. Now, how do I describe it? Okay. Let's see if I can go back to full speed so that I don't degrade the quality whatsoever. Okay. There we go. There comes Abby, right? And here she comes. Now check this out. I want you to look. Look here. Let me zoom in. You're going to see Bridge Guy, right? You're going to see Bridge Guy. Hat. Okay, hat. Let me see if you guys see it in the chat. I'm trying to watch the chat. Obviously, she's left. I don't see her in here. But look, you got a hat. You got the hat. You got a big body. Bridge Guy. Now, why do you say that, Prof? Why do you say you got Bridge Guy? Because look at, okay, look at where this is. Okay, look at the shadow has appeared. Bridge Guy standing up, right? How do you know that's Bridge Guy? Well, because look, let's back it up a bit. You're going to see the vacancy Now notice what's here. You got some trees. Okay, you got some trees. You got some more trees. You got a rock. And you got these leaves down here, which are now in shadow, which I am saying, and it's Peggy's says this is Bridge Guy, right? Looks like Bridge Guy with the hat and all. Well, if we back it up, okay, the reason we know that that's a new addition is because you back it up and you look at that same area. Okay, here's your same area. No shadows. You got your trees, your line of trees, another line of trees. You got a area of leaves and your rocks. And as you see, when she first scans that area with this camera, there are no shadows down there. I mean, obviously you got this shadow. You got this shadow here. You got this big shadow. But down in here, no shadows. Okay, and you keep watching it. It's good. It's well lit down in there. See? Very well lit down in there. Look on the rock. See the rock? No shadows. And it looks to me like as she scans this, it's shadow free. Shadow free down there. And I'm not talking about this big shadow. So let me see. Okay. Again, yes, you have this big shadow, which is very strange. I'm not going to lie. You know, obviously that big shadow is strange. But where I'm pointing you to is down in here in these trees and these leaves. See, no shadow figure down here. No shadow figure. You have this huge tree, which is giving you a totem to be able to get an accurate time, because you can gauge its distance from this pylon of the high bridge over here. You see where this is? You can basically get cardinal directions from this right here. This pylon right here gives you the very clear cardinal directions to be able to get, I want to say it's 32 degrees off of north. Okay? 32 degrees off of north is what I believe I remember. In other words, I'm saying this high bridge here. Okay, high bridge is 32 degrees off of north. Okay, this high bridge, if I recall correctly. This is 32 degrees off of true north. Okay, and as you turn, you can see these pylons here follow that. Okay, 32 degrees off of true north. So when you're analyzing these shadows down at the bottom, you see where they're pointing in relation to that. I sped past a moment, sorry. So I was trying to show you here. Okay. Oh, I know. I forgot to unzoom. That's the problem. Getting lost. Okay, when you scan down here, before she runs by, you don't see any shadows down there. See what I mean? It's absolutely clear. Now, you do have some little trees making tiny little shadows. And you have this big tree making a big shadow. But as far as up in here where I'm circling the mouse in here, there's no figure. The figure is over here to your left. Okay, so you got this figure here, which I'm not claiming whatever that is. Could be Libby, could be two individuals, could be someone. I don't know. But I'm saying on this rock here, on these rocks, in this clearing, no shadow. There is a little bit of a shadow from the elevation change just right here. Okay. Now, what I'm saying is once Abby runs past, you're going to see a shadow down here now. So let's forward to that. So we're going to have Abby run past. And just as she's approaching, you're going to see there's all of a sudden there's a shadow that has moved into that spot. Okay. And even before she arrives, if you really look closely, see before she arrives, look where I'm pointing the mouse down here. Before she arrives, that shadow is now here. You see the shadow has come and is portraying here. Okay. So the shadow's already here as she arrives. It has moved into that spot. You see, it's already there. And then after she passes, you can see it a little more. But see, it's moved. You see how it's moved a bit? In other words, before she arrives, there's that shadow down in those trees I was just pointing you. Because look at the rocks. You can gauge it like this. You see there's a little yellow rock. Then there's a big green rock, or I'm sorry, there's a little white rock at the bottom. There's a rock here that's covered with the green moss. Okay. Then down in here, there's another rock. So you got 3 big rocks here in a row, but kind of misplaced. You see the shadow is now falling where those, in between this line of trees and this other line of trees, down in that clearing under these rocks, there's a shadow now falling. As you see, as she moves, that shadow moves. Watch. Now that she's moved, where's the shadow? It's moved a bit. See, it's moved a bit. It's not any longer over here. Now it's over here by the rocks. It's kind of like on the rocks now, as opposed to over here in the clearing. And like I said, you know what's going on there because that shadow is moving clearly. See, it's really, really present here. So in this one, it's in the leaves and on the rock. The moment she passes, it's no longer in the leaves. It's just on the rock. See, it's moved. And if we go back to where I showed you that area before, when she scans that area here, notice your 3 rocks again, but you're from a different perspective, obviously. But you see, you got your little rock, you got your big rock with the green moss, and you got your other rock. That's your 3 rocks. 1, 2, 3, kind of misplaced, right? Not all in a row, but lined up. Down in here, no shadow. On the rock, no shadow. So this rock, you're going to see a shadow come into this rock. You're going to see a shadow come into this clearing. So let's do it again. Like you see the area clearly. There's those rocks. See, there's only 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 rocks. 1 white, 1 mostly green, and 1 big. See, 1, 2, 3. Anyhow, like I said, after Abby moves on by and Libby's out of the way, there's Libby now. See, this is Libby now. So we know that one's not Libby. This is Libby. And here comes Abby. And suddenly we have a shadow here. And remember, Abby's shadow has already passed. Remember when we showed that? There comes Abby's shadow right there. Abby's shadow is right here right now. Her shadow is passing. Then she passes. Remember? The shadow passes. There it is. And then she passes. You know, and the moment she's approaching, after her shadow has passed, remember her shadow has passed, and suddenly, boom, we see behind her, there's a figure right here casting a shadow. onto that rock which previously was not shadowed, and here into the clearing. And like I say, this as soon as she passes, and remember, her shadow's here now. As soon as she passes, the shadow of the other individual has also moved. See? You still see Libby's shadow. Abby's shadow's over here. And now the shadow that was in the clearing is gone, but you still see the rock in shadow. You see? You still see this rock is in shadow. That's a third person. Third person here. Abby and Libby's casting this way. Which means this third person is going to be at an angle. You see, wherever this person is casting this shadow from, I'm trying to find a spot where you can really see it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, wherever this person is, it's that way. Okay, it's this way. This person is over back here. And you can see from the trees, as I showed you, the direction these shadows are casting. You see, these shadows are going this way. This way. So if you're seeing a shadow here on this rock, that means the person's over this way, while the girls are over on this side. Anyhow, I wanted to show that real quickly. But what I'm telling you is all these shadows go in the same direction. Okay. They're all going like, I wish I could draw a line on. I can't draw in this video, obviously, but all these, this tree is crooked. Okay. So this tree right here is a bit crooked. So you can see the shadows a bit crooked. You can kind of gauge from how this one's laying and then how this one's laying. And then if you go back to this where I showed you here, you can see how this one is casting. You know, and you got this one. So see, they're all these shadows are hitting this angle, all of them. See, they're all hitting, everything's hitting the same angle. See this shadow here, this guy here or girl, this small one here, this tree, they're all hitting this angle like this. That's your angle. Sorry about that. You know, and as the camera moves, it's the angles are going to move as the camera moves because it's an optical illusion like that, you see. But if you gauge it from the road or from a known landmark, you'll see that they're all coming from the same direction. You see, there's nothing to gauge it from here. You can't gauge this. It's just the camera has turned. There's no landmark But here you do have your landmarks, because now you know where true north is, because you can gauge it from these landmarks here. And everything's casting towards that private drive, you see. So as long as you're facing the private drive, you're going to be facing your shadows. See? Whoops. Shadows are pointing to the private drive to bisect it, or whatever you want to say. They all do that. They're all bisecting that private drive. Anyhow, my eyes are tired there. My eyes are getting tired, so I think we're done. I just wanted to come on and share some of that with you. Again, thank you to Peggy O. And I wanted to inform you all of the absolute insanity from the locals that we're getting right now. These Indiana chomo protecting, stalking, harassing idiots who we covered at the beginning. So tonight's show, Delphi threat to kill the troll farm and more on the phone. And I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm absolutely tired and my eyes are just fatigued from doing that. But look, I did have there's another piece that I found past few days. Can't find it. Okay, couldn't find it live tonight. So what I'll have to do is maybe go try to make a community post about it and show you guys with a timestamp. Okay, because I'd like you to see that. But we'll cover it again, I'm sure. Anyhow, thanks everyone for being here. This was Delphi Threat to Kill, the Troll Farm, and more on the phone. And I think that was enough for tonight. And I hope everyone has a great night and a good day tomorrow, nice morning. So I'll say good night to you all, and we'll be out of here. Yeah, my eyes are basically crossing right now. Can't hardly handle it. But I want to say good night to everyone that was in here because I so appreciate it. So I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning, try to catch everyone. We had Heavy Metal Rehab, Swade Smith. We had Nicole Watt. Who's Your Daddy? The Troll Patrol. Deb731. Just James. Did I say Nicole Watt yet? We also had Brittany Renee. Criminal Sociology KB. I would like to thank Mustang for being here. Also, Cotton Candy B. Thank you, Cotton Candy Mustang. Anarch 00141. Christopher 88A. David Rogers 2085. Vicarious Vigilante Peggy O. Thank you. Critter Mama. We had who's this? Jojo. Jojo was in here earlier tonight. Dewey was. We had Dennis McKean, 8773. Hello, Dennis. Dennis said he was in and out. He's tired. But Brittany Renee, hello again. Carol was here. Pertinent was here. Okay. American Night Mom. We had Lord, I'm losing my spot. You guys were chatting it up. It's a good chat. It's a lot. Okay. Gizmo was here. Okay. I don't want to miss anyone. Court of Public Opinion was here. Giuseppe Camerato was here. Who did I miss? I'm missing a bunch of people. I just know it. Oh, hey, Christina was here. Oh, Quadaxo Mimi was here. Okay, we had Emily121 is here. Audio AMZ is here. Sonia Kostavska 9800. Thank you, Sonia. Okay. Who else we got up in here? Trial Junkie True Crime. All right, y'all. I think I got you all. I probably missed a bunch, but also shout out to the super chatters tonight. The super chatters were Swade Smith. Hey, Swade Smith. Taking care of business. Christopher 88A taking care of business. Thank you very much, Christopher. Thank you very much, Swade. And David Rogers. All right, guys. Thanks for the support. All right. Boom. All right. And my all-star mod, Deb731. Thank you for being here, Deb. All of you, thank you so much for being here and enjoying each other. And come and check it out tonight. I hope that it was informative for you. And I'll see you guys for sure Wednesday night. So God bless. Hug your kids, hug your wife and your husbands and all that. Thank you, Trial Junkie, Who's Your Daddy, Pertinent, and all you guys. Appreciate it. If you're on the replay, please do me a favor, a solid favor, and leave some comments down below. Leave some comments down below and hit the like Pertinent says. Please hit the like. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like on the way out and on the way in. Thank you very much. And thanks for becoming a new member, Trial Junkie. Thank you so much. Okay, you're a member. All right, guys, we're out of here. It was a good night. Happy Monday. Today was Monday, July 27th, 2026. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they're raping everybody out here.
Thank you. Let's have a good time.
It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement.
Taken for a trip on a new
It was our
dimension
job
ship.
to help law enforcement.
Taken for a ride over to the other side. Discovered that
It was our job
time's
to
been
help law
forgotten
enforcement.
like a song that they never played on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long. I can't relate to where I am. People just don't give a damn. I'll find a way, make a break, figure out played it on the radio too long. They never played it on the radio too long. Thank you very much.
Mr. Doug Wright.